Just use the super shaky camera. Lower that a little bit. Oh boy. How's everybody doing? Drop a ghost in the chat if you're having a good evening. That is a ghost emoji, or whatever Android users have on their phones. I think they also have emojis, right? They all got emojis, right? Android users. Excuse me being a little unprepared, just getting set up here. Going to be talking with Hugo Uribe tonight, here on the MIRAAA Media Fest Instagram account. We'll just wait for him to show up, and then we'll bring him in. In the meantime, how's everybody doing? Good? Bad? Could be better? I'm going to have one of these ice creams. I just dropped nuts all over the place, excuse me. For those of you who are curious, the music playing right now is a local band by the name of Good Ghost. As you can see by my display here, the theme of the evening tends to revolve around these kinds of things. I think, anyway. Got a comment. Se me antojo el ice cream. Hey, yeah, for real. That's why I went and bought a box. I bought a whole box. Porque se me antoja la nieve. This is so messy. It falls all over the place. Thomas, hey, what's up, Thomas? Thank you for the ghost emoji. I'm glad you're having a good evening. I'm gonna get some napkins. They're ridiculous. By the time this interview's over, I'm going to have chocolate all over my desk. It was embarrassing. Oh, man. Whew. Famous Media in the chat, thank you so much for joining. Just waiting for Hugo Uribe to drop in. Once he does, we'll get this show on the road. In the meantime, I mean, what's everybody doing? I'm eating ice cream. Chocolate ice cream at that. I didn't know that. I thought these were vanilla. I've always called these, I mean, they're called drumstick on the box, I think. So I always call them drumsticks. But I want to say I've also seen Nutty Buddy used before. It might depend on the company. Like maybe I forget who this is. Maybe they like copyrighted drumstick or something like that. And I think though the way you can hold it and like theoretically hit people with it, you know, sends the whole like drumstick part home for me. Nutty Buddy isn't bad though. It also reminds me of like those little. Do you know what Nutter Butters are? They're kind of like sandwich cookie sandwich things with like peanut butter in the middle. Pretty good. I think they're called Nutter Butters. Yeah. This Good Ghost record is pretty good. Came out a couple years ago. Wow! Almost entirely 3 years ago. August 24th, 2018. According to their Bandcamp page. Excuse me. Bustin' Anima, what's up? Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Butter. That'd be the most disgusting infernal ice cream I could think of. Just like frozen butter on like a cone, you know? Oh my god. Or like on a stick, like butter on a stick. Sounds like something that they probably would have, you know, enjoyed as a snack like 400 years ago or something. Before the invention of fridges. Well, I'm going to send Hugo a message, see what's going on. Once he joins, we can get the party started. Oh, there he is. I don't even got to send him a DM. Look at that. Alright, Let's send Hugo an invite and get this thing going. Please excuse the extreme shakiness. I wish I could show y'all what this looks like. It's an iPad rubber banded to a mic stand. Hugo will join in whenever he's ready. Yo, there he is.
Hello.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Sorry about that.
All good. Volume up. Hi.
Hey. What's
How's
going
your
on?
evening going? What's that?
Did I take too long?
No, it's okay. I've been enjoying my ice cream in the interim. Do you like my ghosts?
Yeah.
My ghost collection? I try to keep it as diverse as possible. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm riding that wave out, and I was listening to this band called Good Ghost as well. So how is your evening going?
It's been pretty good. I kind of rushed to my parents' house. Right now, my cat's being pretty loud, so I couldn't really be having a live stream right now at my house. So I had to rush over here.
I feel
had to
that.
tell everybody to be.
I know how that goes. How many cats do you have? Just the one?
Um. We have like four cats and one dog. So we love cats.
Does the love get evenly distributed between your cats and dog?
Right
Or
now
do y'all
we're
got
kind of
favorites?
yeah. Well, right now we're kind of like we adopted this new puppy. Her name is Logan, and we kind of been all over her. But yeah, we pretty much give love to all the cats. They each one have their own little thing.
That's awesome. It's the Lost in Anima dropped the Ford quotes. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Y'all big like pet people? Have you always had pets?
Yeah. Well, ever since I was a kid, I've always grew up with dogs. Ever since I met my girlfriend, she's the one that grew up with cats. So as soon as I met her, she taught me how to like take care of them and kind of like showed me the ways. And we recently moved in together, so we kind of like brought everybody together, and we're one big furry family.
That's awesome. That's always like the big hurdle, right? Like getting them all to meet and like hang out and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was full on drama.
I can imagine when the apartment before, no, 2 apartments ago, my brother moved in for a while and he has a dog, a little like pit bull mix, and he's a very energetic, like no boundaries type of dog. And my cat at the time was very like, oh, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? Like who is living in my house now? You know? And yeah, they totally like they freaked out for a while. But then one night I got home and they were just chilling on the fucking couch together, just like all snuggled up. And it's
Yeah.
like, what is happening? Like, did I miss the session, like the therapy that y'all went through to like make this work? Uh, but yeah, no, that's incredible. So yeah, dude, thanks so much for doing this interview. I really appreciate it, and thanks so much for being down to be a part of the festival. Um, yeah, I've been following your work for a little bit, mostly via Instagram. I know that for the most part, you're a videographer and also a photographer. Am I right?
Yes.
Can
Yeah.
you tell me how you got into that?
Um. Pretty interesting. I kind of wasn't really kind of didn't went to school for any of this photography or videography. I graduated from UTRGV in 2014 with a major in English and minor in philosophy. So I've been told by a lot of people that I was kind of born to be a teacher, to someday kind of like teach some kids, and I've always been for that. Um, but I guess like throughout my college career, I kind of fell in love with photography at first. Didn't really do too much video. Um, didn't really know too much about Premiere or like how to like film stuff. It was mostly photography. I love taking photos. Um, but yeah, and then here we are now, kind of just doing this whole filming photography thing. But I love reading. I love philosophy. I think maybe down the line, maybe once if this stuff doesn't, maybe I stop making films or stop taking photos, maybe I'll just like try to be a professor at a university or something like that. That's kind of like the safety net of it all. But pretty much, I guess throughout, didn't really start taking photos until college, like halfway through college. High school, I was more about more soccer, more sports. I was
Oh,
more of
you
a
athlete. Okay.
Yeah, I was more like hanging out with the soccer players. I love soccer. Played soccer ever since I was a little kid.
Real quick,
And
who's your team?
uh, I guess I would go for Mexico,
Okay.
and I guess I would go for Liverpool. I don't really like the Mexican league too much,
Okay.
Boca and Tigres, stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
I was always that kid that's like, just I don't really watch that, but not that it wasn't like interesting or anything.
Hmm.
But yeah, like pretty much all through high school, just played soccer, and then senior year, I kind of just like started to do something else. Like I was kind of thinking like, is there's more to just like, I guess, being into sports and everything. So I kind of just like stopped playing soccer for a while, and my aunt, she had this old digital camera. I think it was a Canon, and kind of just like borrowed it from her, and would just go out in McAllen, just taking photos of like the train, the people in downtown, um, all self-taught. Just had this camera and just walked around. Um, Little hard at first, like dealing with the whole manual settings and everything. Had to like, I would take some photos and it would come out good. Some didn't, some did,
Hmm.
and just trial and error, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, photography, I feel like folks make it look easy. Uh,
Yeah,
Especially people who like do it super often. I remember when I first started getting into I got into video first, but with like, little camcorders. And again, everything's kind of automatic. Even the exposure is just like it's all working on its own. I just had to point and shoot, right? The second
yeah,
I had to work with like real cameras, like what's the the triangle of aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, right? You kind of have to maneuver those three and figure that out. That was like beyond me for the longest time. And in the beginning, I would like rebuke it, like, I don't gotta know that. I can just like point and shoot stuff. Like I've seen like famous photographers, world class photographers, Ansel Adams motherfuckers, who have like a little baby point and shoot, and that's how they do their $1 million whatever photos. And just like I can do it, I can do that. I don't gotta know any of this stuff. But then like as I started getting more active, and I eventually got my own camera and stuff, it's like okay, I think I might need to you know know what this is, the technical know-how. I do feel like it might be a barrier to some, but in the end, I mean, it just took a little bit of time. Like, was it difficult for you to kind of pick all that stuff up? You said it was like, trial and error.
yeah. So pretty much none of my family knew how to like maneuver that stuff. Nobody like knew how to take photos. Um, Pretty much I would watch. I think it was. I don't remember what year it was. I wouldn't watch any videos or anything. I would just kind of like mess around with the settings, and I'm like, okay, I would take notes. I was like, okay, this works, this doesn't work, and then I would read the manual for the camera, this and that. And sometimes I would meet other people that they were better than me. I guess like more experienced in the whole settings of it, and just get a little bit of advice every now and then. But it took me a while. It took me quite a while to really get into the whole camera stuff. But as soon as I did, I just fell in love with it. And pretty much when going into the whole filming stuff, I guess I wasn't really thinking I would do the whole video work until maybe like a few years ago. At first, like all my brothers, we all love watching movies. Like we all grew up like going to the movie theater, um, watching movies in like cassette tapes and buying DVDs and everything. Um, I think that whole of like that idea of like probably making like a film or doing some video, it came from the love of like bonding with my brothers and like just watching movies pretty much, I would say.
Was it like what drew you to movies? Was it like stories? Was it like the spectacle of it all? Like, like what kind of movies
Yeah.
would y'all watch or what?
My brother, he loved scary movies. He loved like psychological films, and he kind of taught us like the whole like terminology of film. Like, hey, there's something called cinematography. There's something called like the cast, the score. And I was kind of like, whoa, like I thought you just like watched the movie and like pretty much action movies and everything. And
Mhm.
just little things that he would kind of like show me, and then from then on, like I would just take off. Like I would like study it on my own, um, it came to a point that sometimes like I would go to the movies and take like a little like notepad, like a little notebook, and just like watch the scene. I'm like, oh wow, that's a cool scene, and I would just write it down or keep it in my mind, like little notes and everything.
Really?
But yeah, like yeah, that's pretty much where it came from just something to do with my brothers. We would bond in that way. We would just go to the movies and just watch random stuff, and then from then on, like I said, like it would take off. Like I would start watching like little essays about certain films. But yeah, I think we started watching a lot of like The Shining, like Poltergeist. Like
Hmm.
my brother,
Classic.
he loves like films like Midsummer. Like he loves stuff like that. And
Hmm.
but yeah, that's,
Your brother's like a real big influence on you then.
yeah. My brother, I feel like I've used him before. He's an actor. He
Hmm.
went to school for acting, and I really look forward to like using him a lot in like in certain films that I do.
Was he Damian?
No, that's my brother. Well, he's the one with the camera. He loves filming as well. But it's my
Mm,
other brother. His name is Alexis.
cool. Older
But
brother?
yeah, yeah. Well, no, I'm actually the oldest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then it's Alex, and then it's Damien.
Very cool. The Uribe family tree.
Yeah.
Uh, that's awesome. Are you all kind of like all creative? It sounds like your younger brother is, or well,
Yeah,
your youngest brother is.
yeah. My brother Alex, he's acted. He loves acting. He loves watching films. My brother Damien, um, he loves filming as well. He loves the whole like. I guess one thing is he started off a little bit earlier than all of us because he's a
Hmm.
lot younger, and that's one thing that I really like, that I'm able to like everything that I learned, all these things that like I go through when it comes to like making films or taking photos. I'm able to
Hmm.
like transfer that information towards him
Yeah.
because growing up, like nobody really gave me that stuff to me. So that's one thing that I like to do. I like to kind of share stuff to the younger people because I feel like growing up, I wish I would have had um, all this influence from someone else, pretty much.
For sure. I think that's like for a lot of people. I mean, I think I could probably like express similar sentiments of growing up as an artist in the Valley. That's actually one of the things that I brought up when we were talking about the festival. How, it was really hard to find a support system, not just even for being into like something that other people don't like, just in general. Like for a long time, it's the thing that feel like most young people experience when they're in the Valley. There's this stage where they're like, I am alone. There is like no one else out here who likes movies or who likes film or who likes,
Yeah.
X cool thing that I like. Like, I don't know why that is just a prevailing thing, but it hits everybody at one point or another. And it really sucks because without taking someone giving you that push or having someone around, like your brothers, for example, or a friend or a mentor in some way, like, some folks just kind of give up on that kind of stuff. So it's really cool that you have that support system. Um,
Yeah.
and how did you kind of like make your way into the creative community? Like, how did you start meeting other artists and stuff like that?
Yeah. So when I started in at UTRGV, when I was a freshman there, I had a bunch of friends like from high school, friends that I grew up with, playing soccer, like just hanging out, and I realized that a lot of people wanted to like leave the valley, wanted to like go to university like at Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, and me myself, I found myself in like a position where I was like, do I want to stay here? Do I want to like go somewhere else, study somewhere else? At that age, I feel like
Hmm.
everybody's kind of like, I just want to leave. Like there's nothing here. It's boring here. There's nothing to
The
do.
age-old question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I was in that position, and a lot of my friends they kind of took off. I kind of just stayed by myself here, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm just gonna make the best of it and just go to UTRGV. And at that time, we were living here in Edinburgh, Texas. And me and my family, we moved to McAllen. And we moved in with my grandma. She lives like South McAllen, downtown McAllen. And what's it called? We were just kind of like there in that during that time, during that period.
Hmm.
I was taking photos. I had like there wasn't much to do at my grandma's house, so I would just like grab the camera and just go outside, take random photos. And sometimes at night, like Thursdays and Fridays, I would hear a bunch of music like outside, and that's when I started like figuring out the world of like downtown, pretty much. And I discovered this like little venue called Yerberia Cultura. I think it was when it was like barely starting up back in like, I think it was like what, like 4 years, 5 years ago. Yeah, yeah, it was barely starting up.
Yeah, something like that.
I started going to a bunch of shows just by myself. None of my friends from like high school like knew that type of stuff. Like they didn't know what it was to like go to shows. Like I guess the whole art community here in McAllen, because I was living in Edinburgh during high school. So when I started going to these shows like every evening, I started finding out about like these venues, this type of music, this type of like this community here in McAllen, South McAllen, and yeah, I just fell in love with it. Started making more friends. I started kind of like joining bands, joining band practices, and I think that's where I met you. I think you were playing in a band called Super. Yeah.
You were in bands?
Yeah, well, I was just like, I would attend like practices and just like try.
Oh,
I don't really know too much how to play too many instruments.
Is that like the first time that we met again?
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
I think there's
I think you're cutting off.
like a time delay.
Yeah, there's a little time delay.
Is there a time delay between what we're saying or no?
Yeah, I think there is a little one.
Oh, there's a little time delay. Okay. Go on. Keep going about. Keep talking about the. Your time getting hands.
Yeah, I remember when I would go to these shows, I would watch you. I think you're in the band called Super, and that's one of the many.
Can
bands.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There is a delay. Tell you what, Hugo, are you down to like? Oh wait, hold on a second. Uh-huh. Do you want to try starting this again? And I'll end the chat and then open it again, and then you can come back out.
Okay, round 2. Hopefully we got over the delay. So sorry about that, everybody. Gonna give this another go. This is the first time this has happened. So sorry about that. Let's get Hugo back up here, and we can continue. All right, sent Hugo the invite. Let me see if I can get my camera propped up. Hey, dude, I am so sorry.
Oh no, bad luck.
It's all right. I was using my iPad for a change, but I can feel right now that it's like overheating. It's an old iPad. I think it's an iPad 2, so it's like in bad shape. Anyway, can you hear me clearly now? Like we're on the same wavelength and everything? All right, wonderful. So sorry. There'd be like a whole like 10 seconds where I'm just like...
Yeah,
yeah, totally, of course. And oh my God, how embarrassing. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Cool. Where were we again? Welcome everybody to interview number 4. Drop a ghost in the chat if you don't care that we had to start this whole stream over again. Oh my God. Okay. We were talking about you getting into the scene. You said you'd gone to Yerberia. You started. You said you were in bands, or that you were just practicing with bands, or what was the deal with that again?
No, I was just practicing with bands and like met a lot of people that played in bands, pretty much. And yeah, it was really nice. It was really. I feel like I met like the people that I connected with the most.
Mhm.
Because growing up, I just like would just play like soccer, and there wasn't much to do around here. So I feel like when I started like meeting like these type of people, I felt really at home. I felt like it was kind of like where I belong, pretty much.
That's awesome. And that kind of like changes your whole worldview, right? Like, whoa, there's a whole community of people from different walks of life, different ages, different genders. I mean, it makes the world seem like it's in color, you know, coming from black and white to color. Not to knock
Yeah.
black and white, of course, because
Yeah.
we got segments of your submission to the festival that are in black and white.
Yeah.
I like that segue. Let's talk about your movie.
Okay. So tomorrow I'll be gone. Pretty much is a little film that me, my younger brother Damien, and my girlfriend Chelsea, we put together. Pretty much the film is kind of like, not to spoil too much stuff, but it's kind of like a little bit of a more darker feel to the stuff that I make. Definitely a lot more darker. I felt like it was kind of a little a film that was made with a lot of love and a lot of like bondingness, because when you reached out to take a part of this festival,
Mhm.
I felt like I wanted to include a lot of people around me, a lot of people that what's it called, my loved ones, pretty much my girlfriend, my younger brother. That's pretty much what I like to do. I like to when little projects that I make, I like to include a lot of people that are like, I guess, that I see on the daily, that I talk on the daily, and yeah. So the reason why I wanted my brother to kind of like film this movie as well is because one thing that I felt like at the moment he's kind of like in college right now, and felt like his friends are like moving out up north and everything, and I feel like he wants to do filming, he wants to go to film school and everything, but he kind of like stayed here in the valley. So I was kind of thinking like, you know what, like this opportunity came for me, but I want to include you in it because I feel like he's kind of like going through what I went pretty much when I was at his age. So I feel like during that time when I was his age, I would have wanted like something like this to come up and like play a part in. So that's why I included my brother, because I wanted him to kind of like, just as I'm experiencing this like this film festival with all these like amazing artists, I would also want him to kind of like see his name in the screen pretty much. There's a little delay on it again. Oh, I can't hear your voice actually.
I don't know, somehow I rubbermanded my phone again and it hit the mute button. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Dude, I am so embarrassed.
No.
Okay.
This is great. It's
a learning experience.
Yeah.
What we're here to do, right? No, so I was gonna ask, like, is your brother like a lot younger than you, or is he kind of like closer to your age?
He's like, I think like 4 years. Well, his birthday is tomorrow, so.
No way! Happy early birthday.
Yeah, we're not that, we're kind of close a little bit in age.
Cool. It's cool that he has, an older brother to help introduce him to the scene, or to bring him into what you do. I imagine that the experience will be very enriching for him. Tell me a little bit more about the movie without super spoilery. Like, there are themes in this film which I'm trying to connect to with this. Tell me if I'm on the right track, because I might be misunderstanding it, but to my knowledge, or to my understanding, there's a theme in your film. There's a subject of death, right?
Okay.
Am I on the right?
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely. I think the film, I wanted it to be kind of like just your own interpretation. Like, I wanted someone to like kind of like grab their favorite drink and just watch this movie, like just watch this film, pretty much. The film itself, I guess the little trailers that I put up few weeks ago, I kind of wanted to like show my friends kind of like, hey, like this film is gonna be about this. But once they watch the film, it's like, no, like it's not about that. Like it kind of like towards the end, it kind of like this. It kind of the film kind of shows you like this is the main character. She's going through this, she's going through that, and then she meets this other character, and it's kind of like your mind is like, oh, like red flags, like this is gonna end up this way, this is gonna end up that way. But throughout the film, there's like a sort of journey. There's a journey that these characters go through, and then at the finale of the film, it kind of just leaves you kind of wondering, like, okay, who was the main character in this film, pretty much.
For sure. There's these sort of like twin narratives going on.
Yes.
Exactly. And you got some really spectacular shots of McAllen. Ways I have not seen McAllen before. That's like one of the things that really drew me to your work. Like you have a very interesting eye for like scale. You kind of have this like very big open spaces in a lot of your photography. Is that something that you just kind of like capturing, or is that chance? You're just like, like how does it work for you?
Yeah. So on this film, I asked me and my brother, we kind of like grab the camera every now and then. He would make some scenes, I would make some scenes, and sometimes my girlfriend would grab the camera and like do some scenes. So pretty much, I told my brother that I would want to like film this like very wide, and kind of just like you said, like the vastness of the image. And there's one particular scene that I keep thinking about, and it was kind of like a very detailed scene that I felt like doesn't really matter too much, but after filming it, I'm like, wow, like I felt good, I guess, filming it pretty much, because there's a scene where I guess some people would have probably filmed it more like, I guess, detail shot.
Like up close?
Yeah, very like up close, because there's something that's happening where this character is kind of like putting on something, and it's kind of like, okay, this would have been shot like detail shot. Why? Because I guess the movement, the action is very like symbolic. It's very important. But I told my brother, I was like, let's film this wide, like super wide, because I felt like I just felt like doing it. I just felt like doing it wide, pretty much. And I felt like that was kind of like the essence of this whole project. The fact that you're able to use certain techniques, use certain styles that you don't normally use, like in commercial stuff. Like if I was filming something for commercial, probably would have been like, okay, this is important, so we need to like really zoom in, really put a bunch of light on it. Like it's very important. But
like hit the formula or whatever.
Yeah, but I was like, no, like this is that. But sometimes when I'm filming things, like that's kind of like goes through my head. Like I'm kind of thinking more commercial, but then I'm like, you know what? Like let's do this totally different. Let's shoot this wide, and the audience is gonna be like, wow, like this is too wide for this scene. But I'm kind of like, well, that's kind of the point. Like there's a freedom to this, pretty much. But yeah.
No, most definitely. And so you said that you kind of like struggle between, that commercial perspective or the commercial eye and your more creative eye. Why is that? Is a lot of the work you do right now commercial?
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy filming commercial stuff. I feel like I'm pretty decent at it. But also, like when I start working, I like the fact that I'm able to just I guess do my own things, a little bit more of a breather. Sometimes when I'm filming commercial, I'm thinking like, oh, maybe I should film this way, maybe I should film it that way. But I feel like I can do those things like once I'm like outside of work, once I'm doing my own stuff. And another thing about this film is that one thing that I wanted to do is just kind of like use, pretty much, it's a very low budget film. We didn't rent any lenses for cameras, any lights. Everything was just kind of like just natural light and any available light. That's one of the things that I really like doing. I like using simple things like the sun, or there's already like a street light right there. Let's use that. And you'll notice that a lot of the characters, their faces or their like themselves are not entirely well lit, but I feel like that's kind of I just wanted to show that you don't really need too much stuff to make something interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the scenes we use my car's headlights to light
And
it.
that looked great. That looked fantastic. That one scene that you're talking about, the separation, I thought that was fantastic. That was so good. We picked stills to go in the zines, and I wanted to select that one, but we ended up going with a different one. But that's one of my favorite shots in the whole movie.
Awesome.
Sorry, I just had to say that. It was coming up out of me. We actually got a question in the chat that I thought was really cool. So Shiny Kid, who's actually one of the organizers of the festival, asked, "Hi Hugo." Sorry, hi Hugo.
Hello.
I want to know where you find inspiration and how you follow those threads in your film work.
So I guess inspirations. Well, I watch a lot of movies, a lot of music videos. I read a lot of philosophy, a lot of books. So sometimes it can come from different stuff. It can come from a book, from a short story, from a specific scene from a favorite movie. But yeah, I guess one thing that I find kind of interesting about myself is that a lot of the inspiration, a lot of the ideas that I think about comes when I'm driving, pretty much. So whenever I'm driving around doing errands, it's kind of crazy. Like a lot of people, they feel like they have to sit down and put some good music, which I also do to get inspiration. But for some reason, when I'm driving around doing errands, like going to H-E-B, going to Walmart, going to see my parents, that's when it hits me the most. And I've told that to my girlfriend that I'm just driving around for hours, and sometimes it's just little things come into my head, and I get home and I'm just I need to write this down, and I just write stuff.
I feel you. I know what that's like. I also tend to something about driving becoming second nature, that you don't have to think about it, but you're still kind of it's in the back, all your sub functions or whatever are just working on the car, so you're kind of free to think about stuff. I'm a musician, and so driving around, melodies will pop into my head if I'm not listening to music, or some a bass line, something will just pop in for no reason at all, not connected to anything, or all of a sudden I'll remember a conversation I had with somebody, and that little piece of knowledge will just pop out. I don't know what it is. What do you think comes to you the most often when you're driving? What's the thing that you think of the most? Is it story ideas, shots, or I don't know. What comes to you the most when you're driving? We'll be right back. Yeah,
I think the most that comes into mind when it comes to ideas, I think it's a scene. It's more about the scene, but also about sometimes I think about my friends, and I'm wow, my friend, this guy would be so cool to play in this type of in this type of film. But I think just the scene and just the shot, okay, how would I shoot this? Would I shoot this low, high, wide? Would I use the reflection of the window, things like that? And also when I'm driving, I just look at locations. I look at, oh wow, that area right there would be a cool scene to do this, or oh, that little field would be nice to film something like that. Like you said, I filmed for this film, some of the locations, they're in McAllen, they're in Edinburgh, but I chose some of the locations I chose had a lot to do with I guess my daily life. Sometimes I drive through this park, and I wanted to use that. Not only did I want to include the cast, people that I knew, people that I see every day, my friends, my family, but also I wanted to include locations that are pretty much me, that I grew up in, or pretty much there's a scene where my girlfriend's, she's biking around Main Street, South McAllen, that whole area, Main Street, Broadway, that's I've spent so many years there walking around,
the historical part of town.
Yeah, that's I wish I could if I could just film all my films in that area, I think that would be perfect.
I mean, it's a beautiful area. I used to live down the street from that. Real quick, thank you so much to everybody dropping the ghosts. It means a lot. Yeah, no, that part of town is beautiful. I used to live in that building, the Village, that tall 3-story white building.
Okay.
It's got a parking garage in it, and then there's business. Weird living situation, but being around, being so close to downtown, being so close to like Casa Kevin, the Lord of Stores, and just like also the architecture, like they kind of like they made it look very distinct. Like it does kind of have that like old town vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very cinematic for sure. Not as modern, perhaps modern and very open as the rest of the town. You know, it kind of has this very almost picturesque, you know, like natural framing of things, trees on both sides of the street and whatnot. Are those some of your like favorite places to film in? Like more like, you know, places that have a lot of scenery and perhaps like neighborhood type of places or?
Yeah, I like that area is like perfect. A lot of old buildings, downtown. I love taking photos there. Recently, these past few months, me and my girlfriend, we've been going to Harlingen a lot to get some coffee at Bandera. Shout out to Bandera.
Shouts out Bandera, sponsoring the festival. Anyway.
we go, like, even though it's a long drive, but we go and we get some coffee. Great people, and yeah, we just like look around the area, and I'm like, wow, these like Harlingen is like crazy. It's beautiful, so many nice buildings, and also we've been driving we've been driving to Brownsville as well, and same thing. Like I'm driving, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like we can film so many things here, pretty much.
Most definitely, people do. You have the same mind as like other folks in the industry. There was a movie that I was an extra on a while back. Did you ever watch that Mel Gibson movie, Get the Gringo? He plays like this guy who, I don't know, he like, you're familiar with this movie?
Yeah, I've seen trailers. I haven't seen it, but I remember it came, yeah.
They filmed in Brownsville because I guess parts of it, they were trying to pass it off as San Francisco. I'd never been, so I don't know what it looks like or how they compare or whatever. But they brought this, there's a scene in the movie where he like, I think he like runs like a really shitty car across the border, and they filmed like the scene where he like arrives in San Francisco, in Brownsville. Okay. And yeah, like, so one of their scouts was probably like, oh, I know this place, you know, the bottom tip of Texas, it'd be great. It'd be cheap and whatever they say, you know. So yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. Some of those, there's buildings there that I just like, I pass by and they're like gutted, you know, they're empty. Maybe they're too expensive to maintain for whatever people wanted to have in it. But there's this one building in Brownsville. Maybe folks from Brownsville in the chat, drop a ghost if you can. They have this building that's just massive. It's on the corner of Washington and maybe 13th. Big glass windows, and it has these like two pillars. Maybe you've seen it, like big open space. It looks like a library or like a really fancy like office, but like from like the 50s and stuff, like almost like plantation vibey, the architecture.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Really nice looking place. And I just like, I look at that and I picture like, you know, like my dream thing is like to have like my own like design agency or this own sort of like, you know, creative firm. And I can just see like and fill the space with that. You know, it's like magical being in those places. Do you ever do like abandoned buildings? Ever go into like, you know?
Yeah, so sometimes there was several abandoned buildings here in the like McAllen and Edinburgh area. I think some of them they tore down recently, but yeah, that's when I started like taking photos. That's kind of one thing aside from like taking photos of like trains, graffiti, people. I would just go to abandoned buildings and just like sometimes the light would fall like a certain way and it would look really nice because like the roof would like full of holes or something like that. So it's just like little nice stills, little architectural images, little things like that. And I feel like stuff like that made me like pay attention to detail, to the way the light comes in. And but yeah, I've had a few adventures going into abandoned buildings. Very, very scary. But yeah.
Not without its perils, for sure. We filmed in an abandoned warehouse for the collaborative film that I participated in for the festival. And that was like, when it's like, we'll be filming and all this. Actually, we use some of that sound in the film of like, just like a wall is like not attached to anything. It's just like, the wind is like, you know, like picking it up and slamming it on stuff. And we don't know, you know, like we're just filming and all of a sudden like, oh, like, what the hell, you know. Wild space. But so I'm gonna ask a real typical question, but I imagine you have an answer for this one. You know, who are some of your favorite like filmmakers?
For filmmaking, I would say at the moment, I know like there's a lot of like great filmmakers like Christopher Nolan. Um, I don't know them too well by name, but I know
Or
that
movies.
yeah, I know that growing up, I guess one thing that I didn't really like, I guess expect for me to get into was Stanley Kubrick films. And in the beginning, I remember like I was into like all these like different types of films, and then little by little, like I started watching his, and then I'm kind of like, wow, like for some reason, like I just like his stuff. Like I said, like I never expected myself to want to do films that are like a little bit on the spooky side, a little bit more on the dark side. I thought that I would like be more attracted to making like more like I guess more cinematic stuff, but for some reason I just like making like scary things. Like I love scary stories. I know the valley is like full of like folklore and stuff. So like I
You're
love
scared
stuff.
of
Yeah.
ghosts.
So I never expected myself to be into the whole I guess more darker, more psychological stuff. But yeah, sometimes I just find myself like moving towards that, and I'm okay with that.
Why do you think that is? What about those stories, do you find more compelling than like your, I guess, more traditional, just like a, I don't know, not horror, not scary kind of story? What does fear have to do with it?
I think I would say, well, I love like hearing scary stories. Sometimes when I'm at work, like I just listen to podcasts. I just listen to like craziest conspiracy theories, cryptids, Bigfoot, whatever. But yeah, like
Down the
growing
rabbit
up,
hole.
like, huh?
Down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, yeah. So pretty much like that's one thing that I love. But I guess like just growing up, sometimes like I would hear like, I love the idea of like haunted houses, and I feel like I would love to film a film about like a haunted house, something like that. I always think about like houses and stuff. Me and my brothers, we've always talked about like that my grandma's house. She's had that house for years. We've always thought that it was like full of ghosts, and we believe that it has like duendes and stuff inside of it. But but yeah, like little things like that we would like talk to each other, me and my brothers. Like I guess just that maybe that's just this love for like scary stories, for like haunted houses, and then also like when you watch like certain films, like I guess one is like Halloween. Like that one is like I guess I never thought it's like a cliche film, but it's such an interesting film because it's like shot during daylight. So that's something that I kind of like would want to do. Also, like film something that is like scary, but during the day, it's kind of like twisting. But yeah, pretty much.
It's probably a bit more challenging too, because there's a lot. It's very easy to make the dark scary.
Yeah.
That's something that like we have from when we're kids. We're like afraid of the dark, like what we don't know is there or whatever. But I imagine like the unknown or whatever can still exist in daytime too.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was gonna say, do you like being scared? Is that an enjoyable, like, is it entertaining for you, scary stuff?
No. No, I don't get scared pretty easily. But I mean, sometimes when I'm like watching certain things, like I do look away when it comes to watching films, like scary films. Like I'm always like, I mean, I'm not like a scary cat, but definitely like cannot sit through watching a film. But it's weird, like I can't sit through it, but I love the idea of like filming something like it. I don't know.
It reminds me of this. There's this Hitchcock quote where he's giving an interview and they're asking him, it was like, "Do you like being scared? Do you like scaring people or whatever?" And he's like, it was actually really cool the way he talks about it. He's like, "Well, there's people who say that they've had a good cry. I think it's also good to have a good scare sometimes." And I was like, yeah, I can totally fucking understand that. Like a good cry, it's cathartic. You've released all these emotions, all these feelings that are all pent up. And so like, a lot of scary movies, they build up all this tension in you. And then usually they let it out. You're like, oh my God, something happened. And you kind of like, you scream or you're like, oh, or whatever. Or, it's kind of, some more modern movies don't do that. They kind of just build you up and then they leave you there like that. Like Green Room. You ever seen Green Room? The movie about the punk band? All right. That movie, I felt like ill leaving the movie. It was great. I loved it. But like so much tension. And even though like there's like a resolution to it, there's no like cliffhanger or whatever. I left the theater being like, oh, I gotta go fucking sit down, like, you know, drink like a hot coffee or something. Like it made me uncomfortable. That one, and then I think the last movie that like truly freaked me out of my skin, Paranoid Activity, the first one.
Oh wow. Oh,
Going
really?
to watch that one, that last jump scare fucked me up. I was not. Some folks drop movies. Hereditary, that's a freaking scary movie. It doesn't top Paranormal Activity for me, but Hereditary is a pretty scary one. Arguably, I'd say scarier than Midsommar. What about you? What do you think, Google?
Yeah, I think for sure films like that. I think the director's name is Ari Astra. I think. Yeah, I don't like jump scares. I like his type of films because it's kind of like it's one of the films that like I don't know. It's just kind of like so creepy. Like the whole film is creepy. You know what I mean? Like, and jump scares, it's kind of like, you know, it's coming. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, it's like she's looking under the bed and stuff like that. But in those type of films, it's just like the whole thing. It's just scary. Like the girl could be like drinking a cup of coffee, and it's like that's too much.
Yeah, like in Midsommar, they hand her a cup of random stuff. It's just like, oh, don't drink from that cup. Like it's absolutely, 100%. Sorry, that busted up my train of thought. We are reaching the technical hour. We did a good like 20 some minutes. We're nearing our 30 minutes for this one. Let me see. Stuff we can kind of wrap up with. Anything I haven't asked you that I wanted to ask you. In the meantime, where can folks find you? Where can folks see what you do?
What is it? Can you repeat the question?
Anything you want to plug, like social media or things you want people to follow. I know you have another Instagram account that you've dedicated to your photography, I think.
Yeah. So I created this one project. It's called To Being to Perish, and pretty much that project, I was for a while now, for some years now, I've been thinking about kind of just posting. I don't really know what it is yet. Like I just post photos from work, like weddings, quinceañeras, but also like I want it to be a space where I can just like post like I guess my films and something like that. I don't really know too well what it will be, but I just love the name, like To Being to Perish. I think to a lot of people it's kind of like a random name, but it kind of has some ties to philosophy. When I read a lot of philosophy, I see the word to being a lot. So to become, to being, and to perish is kind of like just like perish. So
like a yin and a yang, like
the reason why I decided to go with that is like, well, you have these photos, you have these videos, and it's kind of like you're being, you're becoming, or you're already like in this moment, and then eventually you're gonna perish. Pretty much, it's kind of like pretty sad meaning to it, but it's just kind of like these photos, these videos, are just that's what just remains pretty much. And,
do you think it's sad, or do you think that's kind of like, sorry for interrupting, because I don't necessarily think it's sad. I think it's more, you know, you're being very matter of fact about things. Like this is kind of two things that happen, beginnings and endings kind of thing. Do you think it's sad though? Is that like a sad thing, or?
No, I think me personally, I find it very like, what's it called? Like nostalgic. I don't find it sad, like depressing or anything. I just like the whole, like I it kind of makes sense. So like, yeah, it's true. Like you're becoming, you're in this moment, and then you're living these things, and then eventually before you know it, they're gone, and all you're left is just these photos, these like videos that you made, and the fact that I can like that I'm able to like capture these moments, like capture these photos, these videos. I find it kind of like, I guess, I guess it just gives a reason to like get up in the morning, something to do. But yeah, I guess I would say one thing I would say like thank you to you guys for making this festival. I think I honestly I feel like it's a great thing what you guys are doing. I feel like honestly, if you guys decide to do it like from years from now, I know it's going to be really, really great. I know that like I really appreciate you guys reaching out to me. I know that I don't make like the best things, the best videos or like the best photos, but I feel like this is a great opportunity for other people that are like probably maybe behind the scenes, or they're slowly getting into this. I think maybe when they have their chance to like show their stuff, I think it's going to be awesome. And yeah, I haven't seen like, well, me myself, I haven't seen like someone put together something like this in the Valley. And I really feel like something like this will make people like stay here pretty much. And I feel like people that are maybe not so fortunate, like going up north or like doing something like in another state, they have this festival that they can like put their souls into. And I really appreciate that you guys did something like this pretty much.
That's very kind of you to say. Thank you so much. That really touches my heart. That's something that I always think about in terms of, you know, motivation for putting this festival together. And while, I mean, you know, I can't entirely knock, you know, folks who leave and to seek out opportunities elsewhere. There are some things that the Valley just doesn't have right now, you know, but I think the idea is that eventually it could. And so even if folks, you know, do go out and explore the world, they can still, you know, come back to this place, and this will always have something to offer them, perhaps more and more things each year, which is, you know, the hope, right? We have a couple more audience questions. I think there's one more we can ask before we get out of here. What do you think?
Yeah, we can keep going.
Got the time?
Yeah.
Last question. Any hurdles filming in South Texas?
I guess for hurdles, I think it would be in South Texas. Well, I mean, when you have a camera and you're walking around, people do kind of like stare at you.
They do this number? Like, they do that
yeah.
shit?
Yeah, like sometimes like I'm just like so many times like it's happened. I'm at this point like I'm just kind of like when I'm filming like I don't really know what's going on around me, but it does kind of suck sometimes that like you have a camera and everybody's just like, what are you doing? What's going on? They want to call the police and this and that. But I get it. Like it's not like I understand it can be a lot of people are maybe not fans of like cameras and everything, but at this point it's just kind of like it's just part of it. Sometimes I have been kicked out several times. Yeah, like I think Bobby, he's in the chat. Yeah, we've been kicked out so many times, but it's okay. Like it's just part of it, you know.
Sure, most definitely. There was one more thing I wanted to ask, going off of that question, but it escapes me at the moment. And given we're hitting our 30, I'm gonna have to let it go. Everybody, here's my sign off. We are doing this festival on Saturday. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called MIRAAA Media Festival. MIRAAA Media Fest for short. It's going to be 2.5 hours, basically. No, 3.5 hours, more or less, of your evening. Maybe more than that. My time is off a little bit. We're going to start at 6 p.m. We're going to have the lobby open. We're going to be showing some music from people. The virtual installation, the virtual gallery will be available. You can walk through that. The official stream will begin at 7 p.m. Again, this is on Saturday evening. If you've RSVP'd via our Eventbrite, which is accessible through the website, MIRAAMediaFest.net, you will also be notified of the swag bags, which we're going to be giving away to folks. That's right, giving away to folks for FREE free from 12 to 2 p.m. on Saturday. And that's going to come with a t-shirt. It's going to come with a couple zines, one for the installation and one for the film portions of things, the screening portions of things. It's going to come with some buttons, and while supplies last, we're going to have Grass Hut plates, vegan, delicious food available for whoever shows up. First come, first serve. Going to have about 100 of the bags, so you know, you get there, you get one, basically. And you can take these home with you and watch the films in your MIRAAA t-shirt, full MIRAAA gear, and have a good time with us. It's going to be really cool. After the festival, after the stream, we're going to have an after party, which we now announced is going to be on the Gather platform. It's a real cool little virtual space. You can have a little monito and like walk around, and it's really cool. The way it works, there's little zones. You can hang out with people in the zones, and you can bust out your webcam, and everyone will have a little video chat. And then if you walk away somewhere else, the video chat goes away, and you can join someone else's video chat. And we're gonna have a DJ, and then that's where we're gonna do the awards ceremony. It's gonna be really cool. There's just a lot to talk about with that, so I'm not gonna take up any more time explaining it. It's gonna be very fun. The link to that will drop in the festival chat, so you gotta go to the fest to get to that. Another thing is if you vote in the awards ceremony, which Hugo here might win if everyone votes for his film in the shorts section. If you vote, you get entered in the raffle to win one of two prizes that we have. One is a $50 gift card to Bandera Coffee. Shouts out to Thomas in the chat. That's his coffee shop. And then the other gift is a $50 gift card to Tropicasa, which is a venue space and retail spot that has a lot of vegan food in the McAllen area, in the very beautiful part of town that Hugo has been talking about in this interview. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. We have interviews every night this week. Hugo, thank you so much for giving us your time and for talking to us about what you do. It is very cool, and we are so glad to have you. See you all tomorrow night for our last interview with Divine Arbeco, 8 p.m., same time, same channel. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.